world has become exceptionally easy for a lot of men. It used to be a different place. Most men were cannon fodder. Most of us would have ended up in wars dying for fucking no reason.
Damn.
Now we don't have to do that. So because we don't have to do that, men think it's okay to just become comfortable now. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You were never evolved to be comfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And if you make yourself uncomfortable constructively, it's very easy to be anything you want. You talk about GTA, Grand Theft Auto. I know the game. I used to play the old one on the PlayStation 1 when I was a child.
Which one?
I haven't played any.
Which one? You talk about San Andreas?
Very first one.
Vice City, GTA 3? Yeah.
Oh, the very first one, like 1994.
Okay.
But I've never played any of those games, but I find it amazing that people will sit there and spend all their time upgrading that character, making as much money as they can, getting the best guns, getting strong, getting some hoes, meeting important people, getting the best car. They'll do all that in a game, but they won't do it in real life. I find that incredible. Like, my life is GTA. I don't need to play a game for GTA. If I want a gun, I'll fucking buy it. If I want a car, I'll fucking buy it. I want a bitch, I'll get her. It's me. I am GTA. I don't see why people play the games. They play the games because they're scared of loss. Because if you die in the game, you get another chance. If you lose in the game, you get another chance. In life, you get one shot.
Damn,
But if you get some balls, that's what life is as a game. That's what life is as a man. This is one big video game. You get to upgrade your character. You're not born with any value. All these women that you just put me on with are born with value. They're pretty already. They're gorgeous already. They're good looking enough. Even if they're a 5, someone's going to give a shit they exist because someone wants to fuck them. As a man, if you don't make yourself valuable, you have no value. You have to get up and do it. Just like a video game, you start with fucking 0. You have to decide if you want to complete it. You have to upgrade your character. So I find it amazing that men are going to play video games and fuck about and waste their time instead of upgrading their character. Everyone knows what to do. You know what you have to do.
You're right.
If you had to become the most dangerous, intelligent, respectable man on the planet, you know you're supposed to go to the gym. You know you're supposed to train, learn how to fight. You know all these things. You don't do them. That's your decision. It's your prerogative. I didn't make that choice. I made the choice to do it all. I decided all of it. And every single man watching this can do the exact same thing. Which is why I have very little pity when I do these streams and people think I'm arrogant or I'm rude to people, or even to you earlier when I was making jokes and I've been joking with the girls,
You're
saying
good,
drink the soy latte.
I'm not, yeah.
Of course, and I know we're only joking, right? But the point is that's a conscious decision you made. I would never make fun of someone who hasn't got a choice. I wouldn't make fun of someone born with one arm.
I have a choice though.
But if you've made a fucking decision to be less than you should be, then I believe you should be mocked for that decision.
I agree. I feel like, yeah, because like you're not living up to your full potential. Like it's your choice to basically not live up to your full potential.
Completely. And me as a man, when I put myself through hell, when I have had such exacting, such stringent standards for myself, why would I then have less exacting, stringent standards on the people I meet? Why would I put myself through hell to be me and then meet someone who didn't put themselves through hell and then treat them like my equal? No, fuck you. I suffered when you didn't. So you're not my equal because you decided not to suffer. You have enjoyed comfort when I haven't, and that's fine, but don't expect me to look at you as my equal because you're not. I'll snap your fucking neck.
Andrew,
that's the world.
Andrew, I have like a lot of friends around me. They're like good friends. Don't get me wrong, like they're real friends, but like they're incredibly like lazy and they have so much potential. Like they could be big, they could be getting rich, all this shit, bro. But like they choose not to. So, but it's really hard because I love them. They're my friends, and I came up with these guys, and they're so entertaining. I love them. They're my brothers, but like,
I understand. But you have to. But there's something that's always kind of confused me. When I tell people that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, everyone agrees. They go, "Yeah, that's probably true." The 5 people you spend the most time with, that's what you're gonna end up like. They say, "Yeah, that's true," and then they continue to hang around with people who they don't want to be. Why? There has to be a point. There has to be a point where you sit and go, okay, you're my friends, etc., etc. I love you guys. Yeah, we can talk, whatever. But I'm on a different life path. You have to leave some people behind. You wouldn't want to be, if you were to come hang out with me and you were in a room with me and my 5 friends, you'd feel self-conscious.
You're right.
You don't feel self-conscious with your friends.
Because you only surround yourself around people that are on like your level of like.
I'm with killers. We're fucking monsters. If you were to come hang around with me and my crew, you would be self-conscious, and that self-consciousness would motivate you, or they would certainly instill the discipline required for you to change. You don't feel self-conscious amongst your peers. That's why you don't change. If you were to get in a room and you're the only person who ain't a fucking monster, you'd want to become a monster. That's life. That's humanity. So I say this to people all the time. If you know you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with, why you hang around with people you don't want to be?
Nah, it's true, bro. I'm gonna tell you why, right? I was, do you know who I Show Speed is?
No.
He's this other creator that's like obviously like in my space. I was staying with him in September, and like I would literally like be on my shit like, every day, like grinding, like at what I'm grinding, right? And like when he left, I had like no one around me to basically like kind of like on my like so it shows.
I get it.
Yeah.
And that's why I live in a competitive environment. I live with my brother, my cousin. I live with men. We have a big house. We could all afford fucking 10 houses each. We live together on purpose. If my brother does 500 push-ups, I ain't gonna be the bitch of the house. I ain't gonna not do them.
Right.
So that's another reason the war room exists. My organization, the reason it's so competitive, is the reason we kick people out. You have to fight to keep.
Even if they pay, you're like, I don't give a fuck. Get out. Like,
I don't give a fuck. Get out. I'm out. It doesn't matter. Everyone pays to join. You get kicked out anyway. You have to fight to keep your place. That's the whole.
Damn.
That's because that's how life was. If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter. And I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do fuck all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're fucking lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become.
Wow.
God is unhappy with these people. And inside their hearts, they're unhappy. We talk about depression, anxiety, all those things you mentioned really earlier on this podcast. That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever fucking be? How can I feel depression when I could squeeze my own hand hard enough to break my own bones? How can I feel depression when I've smashed and destroyed 68 people's faces in front of me, men who thought they could test me in fair combat? How can I feel depressed? It's impossible. Do you understand?
Bro, you got like the best fucking mentality, like brain, like ethic I've ever seen in my fucking life. What the fuck? Everything you're saying is just like that you said. It's literally facts. I agree with like 100% of everything. So why do we? Okay, here's another question. Do you notice that like human beings naturally we don't care about things until it's gone? Like we don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. You know what I'm trying to say? Like appreciation. Like,
correct.
Why is that? Why do you think that? And do you feel that way? Like, are you very grateful? Are you appreciate what you have? Like, you know how to speak on that?
Yeah, that's a mental trick. You have to rewire your brain. That's one of the things you have to rewire your brain to do. And the reason your brain needs to be rewired is because anyone who is watching this stream below the age of 30, your brain is already broken. And I'll tell you it's broken. I'll tell you why. Watch your friends when they're on TikTok. How long can they even focus on a video before they have to change? Half a second, a second, maybe. All of your minds are broken. You can't even focus on anything anymore. Right. You are constantly distracted to the point where you can't even appreciate the good things in your life. You're distracted. Your minds are broken. You need to rewire your mind and resist the slave programming.
How?
They have programmed. I'll tell you how. First thing you have to do is identify it. You have to identify what is happening to you. I use my mind to break the trap. What I do is I allow my enemy to manipulate me on purpose. And then I use my mind to break the trap and punish the perpetrators. I will sit on TikTok for a day and I'll just enjoy TikTok. And by the end of the day, I'll watch myself. How quickly I'm looking to be entertained, how little time I give a video, how fucked up I am. And then I'll blink and I'll cure my fucking brain. You must allow yourself to be manipulated and you must fix it. All of it. You just talked about not appreciating the things you have. Then blink and cure your brain. It's a conscious decision. You're letting other people control your mind.
Distraction.
The Matrix is trying to control your mind. They're very good at it. That's what they do to control all of us. You have to break the trap. If you cannot control your own mind, let me make this point. This is extremely important. If you cannot control your own mind, then you are just a feather in the wind of life, because your own mind is the only thing you can control. You can't control the weather. Right. You can't control other people. You can't even control whether your heart stops beating. You might have a heart attack tomorrow. You can't control anything besides what you think. If you cannot control your own mind, then you go through life with zero control, zero influence. You can't control anything. You're just a feather in the wind, waiting for life to blow you from happy place to sad place to happy place to sad place, completely hoping on the gods to be fortunate to you, because if any genuine discomfort comes your way, you're fucked. It is trained. Like everything else in life, it is trained. So if you find yourself not appreciating what you have until it's gone, then you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to focus or concentrate on tasks, you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to go and dedicate yourself to something you don't want to do, you must blink and cure your brain. Because all of our minds have been under constant assault for years. The way the mind functions, the way people interact, has changed so significantly in the last 10 years you wouldn't believe. If you go to a party today as opposed to a party 10 years ago, they look completely different. People are acting differently. People are on their phones now than ever used to be. Even now, people will go to places only to get an Instagram picture, even if they don't enjoy the place.
Wow.
It's all about pretending they're having fun as opposed to actually having fun. The entire paradigm of society and how we interact has now changed.
But it's very interesting what you're saying about your husband and fishing and hunting and stuff. I completely agree with you. And there's another thing, you see the future, and he raised me with absolute accountability, and he certainly raised me and Tristan to be, he understood what the world expects of men, and he raised us to be strong. And even when we were in jail, my mother would call, I'd speak to her on the phone, and she said honor and respect to him. And
I mean, social media and the world as a whole is now setting unrealistic goals for people, whether they like it or not.
Because it's everyone's airbrush lifestyle.
Completely. It's very hard now to be a man in the world and not have unrealistic expectations. If you're anywhere on the internet, you're seeing a whole bunch of crypto 19-year-olds pushing fucking cars and doing all this shit. So yeah, your expectations are gonna be ridiculously high. So I think people who get demotivated because they don't quite hit where they want to get just need to be more realistic about it. And like I said, you need to get a piece of paper or understand on a scale of 1 to 10 and say, how stressed do I want to be? How much pressure do I want to feel like I'm under? How much can I take? And be honest with yourself. I know I can handle it. I'm a professional. I had 87 professional world champion fights. I've been there. I've been in the dressing room about to go fight a dude who just killed his last opponent. Like, I understand pressure. Most people don't. So you have to sit and go, how much pressure can I really take? Between 1 and 10. Well, let's say it's a 6 or a 7. Okay, and then you need to work out an income that reflects that, and that should be your goal, and be happy with it. People sit there and go, yeah, I want to be as rich as Tate, I want to be top cheetah. Most of you, the reason you're not here is because you couldn't do it. I could hand my life over to a bunch of people, even as it is complete.
And they couldn't do it.
They couldn't live it. They couldn't live it. They just fucking
Is that because they want that safety net as well? Do you think that's an aspect that allows you to push to the level you have?
Well, there's equal and opposite forces in the world. Everybody wants the glitz and glamour. Nobody wants equal and opposite force. Like, there's no such thing as, yeah, okay, there's a whole bunch of good with the fame, there's a whole bunch of bad with the fame, there's a whole bunch of good with the money, there's a whole bunch of bad with the money. So that's how it goes. I wanted this life. This is exactly what I want. It makes me happy. But there's a whole bunch of people who would not be happy in my position just because of the amount of pressure they're under. In my last cancellation, we had press trying to find my mother, family members doxxed. My last 20 ex-girlfriends called and offered a bribe, effectively 100,000 pounds, to do a negative story on me. None of them turned. Bank accounts frozen, travel bans, all my social media is deleted. All over the news, national news, I'm evil. Press releases in the schools saying that I'm bad for young men and I'm misogynistic. Like, most people are not prepared for that level of pressure. I slept fine. Most people would be like, whoa. There are death threats. Like, most people can't handle that. I can handle it fine. Most can't. You have to decide what you want to deal with. So when you're setting your expectations, it shouldn't just be about how much money you want to make. It's truly about how stressed and how much pressure do I want to be under. I actually enjoy it. I'm a warrior. I'd be bored in the other way. I want people coming for me. That's what I want. But if you don't want that, then don't build a life that does that. For now, at least, you can't escape the brutal realities of the real world. And I think also that, truthfully, on your deathbed, you're gonna regret all the chances you didn't take. I think, especially as a man, I think we're out here to conquer, and I've always taken a lot of risks. I've always been a risk taker. That's who I am as a person. No death, no risk, no glory. I've always been that guy, and I feel like a lot of it is also for you to decide in yourself and decide with your own conscience: will I be comfortable if I go to 6 out of 10, or do I really need to be 10 out of 10? And that's fine. Everyone's different, right? But yeah, I think you should set the goal that you're truthfully prepared to live that lifestyle of.
Everyone can be a better version of themselves.
Well, everyone can be a better version of themselves completely, and it's down to the three things I said earlier: stupid, lazy, arrogant. I think most people are just too arrogant to learn. And I'll give you an example of it. I'll give you an example of why people are too arrogant to learn. Let's forget about selling products. On my website, cobratate.com, I have an email list. It's completely and utterly free. I am a billionaire. I'm sitting here telling people how to make money. Anyone who's listening to this is watching, and they obviously find me entertaining. They find you entertaining. They understand we're knowledgeable. I will tell you how to make money, and I will give you knowledge and advice via email for free each day. There are people who will sit and watch this, knowing that, and still not sign up. Explain that to me. They're like, how could you sit and go, this guy's smart, he's entertaining, he knows things, he has a free email list. I am too lazy to type in
or arrogant
to sign up for free. It takes 6 seconds. And they still won't do it. Of the 1 million people who watch this, half of them will sign up and half of them won't. And the half that don't will still be like, I'll get rich one day. No, you fucking won't. You're a dumbass.
So if a man isn't rich, can they be deemed as successful?
Completely. You have to decide. Yeah, it depends. There are people who are dedicated to surfing and they live in a tent in Bali and they surf every day.
And love every minute of it.
And they smile. That's fantastic. You have to decide what you want in life. I wanted to conquer the world. And if you're going to conquer the world in the modern society we live in, that's going to be a fiscal conquer. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make a bunch of money. How else are you going to conquer the world? That's what I wanted. You have to decide what you want. And it's different folks for different strokes. And it takes a lot of different kind of people to make the world go round. But if you truly want to conquer the world, you're going to end up wanting a bunch of money because that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So you have to decide the life you want to live. Right?
So if you had a teenage son, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give him to break through the matrix and achieve success in life, whatever that is for him?
I'm actually genuinely worried about my children because I grew up so broke and they're going to be so fucking rich.
It is a worry, isn't it?
It's a worry because you're a different man when you have no safety net. You're a different man when you have to pull it off. No, I need to. No, I literally have to pull this off. I have to roll the dice. Most men don't understand what it feels like to roll the dice and you have to get a 6. They go, what do you mean you have to? No, I have to get a 6.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if you don't? No, I have to get a 6. You're not understanding me. So that's extremely character building. And for that reason, I'm going to make sure that my children, another thing that comes with it, I took a bunch of risks that I would never be comfortable with my children taking because this is the problem. You go soft, right?
Yes.
I was riding around on a motorcycle with no insurance, running from the cops. And I could have been splattered on the road. And I would never want my son to do that. But at the same time, I want him to be like me. So it's difficult. It's hard. I can never be poor. My skill set, the people I know, my phone book, my reliability, my reputation. You could take all of my money today. I'll be a millionaire again in 2 weeks. I can call people and say, lend me 10 mil. Oh, that's Tate. I can call people. I know people. I have a place I can go. I'm good at speaking. Like once you have those lessons and once you have that network and once you have those things built, you can't go broke. You really can't. You get to a point of life where the only way you could go broke is if you become a drug addict or something ridiculous. But yeah, so the lessons are very, very important. I want to make it clear because these last few years, people skipped all of them. Even if they have a little bit of money, they have none of the lessons, and they're going to suffer. The universe will teach them a lesson, for sure. And I will. And there's going to be a point when I'm definitely going to slow down. But it's almost second nature to me. It's not a conscious thing. If I'm awake, I don't see why I wouldn't be doing something constructive. I'm conscious now. I've woken up. I'm either in the gym or I'm working. What else am I going to do besides turn my brain off in front of Netflix? It's just all clown world to me. If I'm awake, it's work or training, and that's how I've always lived, and that's just how I'm going to live as long as I can. If I get to a point where I feel need to slow down, then so. Watching content can be a double-edged sword. You can learn a bunch of things, and everyone at home here, I like to feel like they're getting value and they're learning things. But there's also the other edge of people who feel like if they just watch a bunch of shit and do nothing, that they're taking action. They feel better about themselves, but they're not actually taking action. So you have to balance the two carefully. Ultimately, it's going to be action that shapes your world. Ultimately, you're going to have to do something. So if you're watching something, you should be very conscious of what it is. I mean, I've created my reality, absolutely. I've cut out all bullshit in my life. I don't have TikTok installed on my phone, man. So I don't have anything installed on my phone. I don't absorb any bullshit, fucking random entertainment. I don't watch any podcasts of anyone else. Like nothing. I don't need to. If you're a normal person, you're working a normal job, you're making $4 grand a month, and you pay all your bills, and you're left with $1 grand a month. And then in your spare time, you're worried about how to spend that or how to invest that grand a month. Right. I think that's a waste of time. You should be far more worried about spending your time trying to make more money.
Yeah,
because
100%.
a grand a month, it's just not enough money.
So you could invest that grand in yourself.
Absolutely. Invest in knowledge or something like that. But investing in a coin, like I said, unless it's a lottery win. And before I go on to answer the question, I do want to make something clear. I think the last 2 years have been a fantastic period of wealth creation. The money printers were on full, and it was full clown world, and it was bullshit. And a lot of people made money during the clown world and spent it all, and they now think they're going to continue to make money in clown world
that's
ways.
not happening.
No, the real world is back. The brokies and the wagies, you're all going back to McDonald's. If you bought poo dick coin and made 200 grand, and you think you're going to be able to continue to do that for the rest of your life, you're a dumbass. That was a once in a lifetime generational gap where you could pull something off. And now it's back to the hard times. Even all the big tech companies, and the tech companies make money from the sky for free with pixels. They're cutting staff. But if they're cutting staff, then it's really hard. It's going to get very difficult to make money now. So a lot of the dumb shit is over. In terms of how to make money in the world today, it's hard. I think that the world is changing into an economy which is to a degree based on attention. I think you need to find a way to get attention to you and who you are, your product or your service, and find a way to monetize it. So the easiest way to do that is to have some knowledge. Even the podcast you guys run is an extremely efficient podcast. If you compare it to some of the other YouTube channels, like the big ones, like where they do these crazy stunts and stuff.
Yeah.
For you to get views, you talk.
Yeah.
For them to get views, they have to build a set and build it. It's not efficient, right? You need to find an efficient way to get attention, and then you have to prove yourself credible in your field and attract customers. And I think the best way to do that is online, and it doesn't matter what it is. And I think if you do those things and you work very hard and you try your best and you're never lazy, you will make some money. That's what I believe. And one of the benefits of globalism and all the things we were talking about earlier on the podcast is now we're in a globalized world, and a lot of the products and services and things you can offer can be offered to absolutely everybody. So inside of don't want to do a plug, but I will. But inside of our university, we teach a bunch of things. We have 18 modern wealth creation methods, but they're all based on online. I think online, it's not groundbreaking to say the internet's here to stay and it's the future. And I think that whatever business you're in, you need an online presence to it. And then you have to find a way to attract attention. And the best way to do that is to come across as knowledgeable and interesting. You have to be careful if you just watch too much content. Like you guys have a website, right? And you teach things. I have a website, I teach things, whatever. If you watch this podcast and you've genuinely learned things from it, then you should be on one of the two websites by the time the conversation ends. If you're going to watch the podcast, you need that. And you need that for a variety of reasons. One, because you won't be satisfied with yourself. If you're given a bunch of money, you're never going to be happy with money.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And two, there's so many lessons that come along the way with business that you can't just skip, right? So I know exactly what you mean. But as for my teenage son, I'm gonna try very hard to. He's gonna have problems he needs to solve. And I think if you're a young man, even if you're not my child, if you're just any man who's out there in the world today, you need to look at some problems that need solving, either for yourself or for society, and find a way to fix them. And I think that you should just adopt some problems and try and fix them. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just try and fix the litter in your area, or you can try and get a six-pack, or whatever you want. Men are builders. The modern world, call me misogynistic, the modern world was built by men. Every building you're in was built by men. Every road you drive on was built by men. We're builders, we build things, and that's what you should be focused on. And like I said before, if you're hardworking and you build, and I think you'll do well in life. That's what it's really about. You can't hide away from the brutal realities of work. That's it. And while we're on the subject, that's actually where these last 2 years have been pure clown world, because I've known some people who've made a bunch of money in crypto, and I've said to them, what you've just gone through, what you've just done is once in a generation, and it's completely ruined you. Because normally if you make, let's say, 200 grand, you have learned lessons to make that 200 grand. Yeah. You've learned marketing, you've learned sales, you've learned how to manage staff, you learn how to deal with pressure, you learn how to be on time, you've learned a bunch of things.
So you can continue it.
So you can continue. And even if you lose all the money, you retain the lessons.
100%.
What have you learned? You bought a coin, it went up. Okay, good. You have not learned a single fucking thing about how money is made, about personal development. You didn't even learn how to have a firm handshake and put on a tie. You learned nothing. You pulled it off, you made a few dollars. You've lost them now. And now, the worst thing about it is, you think you're too good for work. You think you're so smart now. Yeah. Oh, I made it. This is the next one. You got lucky. Now you think you're too good to actually get up and grind. You think you're just going to pull it off again, another lottery win. And you don't think you have to work very hard. And guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to end up fucking broke. Because that's not the reality of the world. That clown world shit is over. All that shit is over. We're about to get into harder times than ever. If you're sitting at home and you made a bit of money with crypto and you think, don't worry, it's going to go up again soon, you're just praying for some external force. That's not self-accountability. Sitting and watching the Bitcoin price, waiting for it to go up so you have money is not self-accountability. That's prayer. You might as well just do the lottery numbers. All these people who made money in this clown world, a lot of them haven't learned any lessons about the reality of Earth, and it's about to get a lot harder. Inside of my school, The Real World, we have an entire subject on attention and focus, because a lot of kids, especially young kids now, can't even pay attention. We have to teach them from the beginning how to watch the lessons because they're too long and they can't focus. So I got roasted on Twitter for this. So they attempted to roast me, but they can't because I'm mean. But I said that I don't read books and I'm very anti-reading, and it upset a whole bunch of people. My problem with reading is not that there's not good information there.
It's too slow.
It feels slow.
I'm with him.
It feels slow. I just feel like I don't have
read a bit faster.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't have the hours. I'm now at the point where I will hand the book to my PA and say, give me a 2-minute surmise, you read it. Like, for me, that's just where I am. But also, life teaches you a lot. And I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. I don't think you can read a book and that's great. But I think if you're living an interesting life, if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today? And what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened? And how can I prevent them from happening again? Most people don't, that kind of crap doesn't even cross their minds. Like every day I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? How did that happen? Did I get caught slipping was I on the street and some guys come up to me and it could have been a dangerous situation? Like, how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything.
But that's total ownership of your life, isn't it?
But you have to have.
But a lot of people don't.
You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're lying about me. Yes, they're lying, but I still own it completely. They're lying about me and they're talking shit, but I own it and I took responsibility for it, and I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. If I'm walking down the street and it starts to rain, I take responsibility for that. I didn't have to be in rainy London. I could have been somewhere else. I could have brought an umbrella. Could have took a car. I am responsible for getting wet in the rain. And there's people out here who just don't take any responsibility for their own actions, let alone the weather. If you take complete self-accountability and you self-reflect, you can learn a whole bunch about life.
But could you not just say that it's raining, this is unfortunate?
No, but that's what losers do. It's raining. I'm unlucky.
You got told.
But that's what they'll say. I got wet because it rained, not my fault. Whereas I'll say I got wet because I did not prepare for the rain.
Didn't check the app.
I didn't
get an umbrella.
Correct.
Didn't wear the right clothing.
Correct.
You knew where you were. You were in England. It was going to rain.
Correct. And I will punish myself for that, and I'll make sure it doesn't happen to me again. I will sit and actually consciously think about it. There's been times I've lost my car keys or something ridiculous and wasted 20 minutes of my life, and I'm furious, and I will make sure that never happens again. I am very conscious I'm conscious with systems about stupid shit, so I don't make mistakes ever. If you don't sit and pay conscious attention to it and give it conscious effort, you're not going to learn. But even if you do, right, there's still a sense of satisfaction knowing you were forward thinking enough to try your absolute best. Like I have people who are after me, right? If they catch me and I end up getting murdered, for example, heaven forbid, I feel I had a 7-man security team and an armored car and I did my best.
Took the precautions.
Yeah, but if I'm just walking around like a dummy and then they get me, then it's a different scenario, right? So it is what it is. So you have to self-reflect. And I think that, yeah, reading's great, but if you take some time to look, I get this all the time. People say, oh, my girl left me. Why? I don't know, she just left. What do you mean you don't fucking know?
Think about it.
Why did she leave you? Oh, because she wanted If you think long enough, you'll realize it's because of you. You were not important enough to make her not want to leave. You can sit and say what she did and what she wanted, blah, blah. It's because you couldn't keep her. Because I could have kept her, so you couldn't. So it's your fault, and you're not self-reflecting. And then you're going to go into your next relationship, and because you didn't self-reflect and you haven't grown, you haven't done anything, guess what's going to happen? It's going to leave you again. So I think with a lot of investments, it also depends on the kind of time scale you're working on and if you need the money. So like if I were to buy Bitcoin at, what is it now, 16,500?
Yeah, about that.
If I were to buy Bitcoin now and I need that money in exactly a year, then the price matters. But if I buy Bitcoin now and I'm never going to need the money, then I just sell when it goes up. It might take 10 years, it might take 20 years, who cares? Right? So a lot of investments is about how badly you need the money. It's the same with a lot of things. So I don't really time the bottom of markets so much now. What I do is I put in money I will never need. So I'll just say, I'll buy Bitcoin at whatever and just go, well, I refuse to lose. I'll just wait it out. Like I'll wait 4 years, 8 years, 15 years. Oh, look, I win. Boom.
And let's be clear, you're not going to leave it on the exchange, are you?
No, I'm not going to leave it on exchange. No.
Get it in your nano ledger.
That's right. You leave it on exchange, it's like leaving money in the bank, and I don't trust either of those things. So But yeah, I think with investments, but also in the whole idea of investing, I have people come to me and they say, look, I want to invest I think you need to be quite rich to invest in a significant way anyway. If you're living a normal life with a very normal wage, investing your £500 is not going to change your life. So if you're a normal person with a normal wage and a normal income and you're focusing on investments, you're making a big mistake, because there's no way you can invest £500 that's going to grow into, maybe you could pull off a lottery win shitcoin pump or something. But in general, with anything normal, outside of this clown world garbage, which has vanished because the real world's back, because the last 2 years have been clown world. Now the real world's back and it's hard to make money again. There's nothing you can put £500 in without doing any work, and it's just going to blow up and it's going to make you a millionaire, right? So if you don't have significant money to invest, you shouldn't be focusing on investments. You should be focusing on how to make more money. I was instilled with a duty for a very long time to honor my ancestors through achievement. And I was told from a very young age that the only thing your ancestors are interested in is achievement. Even to this day, when I do podcasts, people repeatedly talk about my father. If I wasn't successful, he wouldn't be spoken about anymore. He died 9 years ago, and he was a good chess player, but no one's really that interested in chess. The reason he lives on is because I'm so monumentally successful that people are interested in my origin story, and he is mentioned. The reason I will live forever is because my son will be so monumentally successful that they'll talk about how he could have been such a perfect specimen of man, how he was raised, and they will mention me. If you give a shit about your ancestry, and if you give a fuck about your family, and you're not a selfish person, and you want them to exist out in the ether for reality, for the eternity of reality, it is your duty to be successful. If you love your family, and you love your last name, and you're proud of yourself, then you have a duty to be massively, monumentally successful, to show homage to your ancestors. I find it amazing there are people out here today who are going to sit and say, oh, I'm sad, I'm too depressed, I don't want to work hard. Do you understand that only 200 years ago, there were peasants out working a field, starving, surviving the Black Death, surviving the plague, struggling to exist just to reproduce, so that 200 years later, you can be the end of their bloodline, for you to sit on your ass and do fucking nothing. You're a fuck up. You're fucking up your entire bloodline of your entire ancestry. You owe these people things. They went through hell for you to exist. You have a debt. You have a duty to pay. You have to be the best possible version of yourself. And the same to God. God loves people who try. God loves people who work hard. It's amazing if you try your very best all the time, what God will give you. He'll give it to you, anything you want, if you actually try. Not convincing yourself you try, actually try. They're different things. But yeah, I was instilled with this because from a young age, my dad said, you're a Tate. And Tates are the greatest people on the face of the planet. And there's gonna be a day I'm not here anymore, and they're gonna talk about me because of how fantastic you are. So go do your fucking job. And I said, yes, sir. And here I am. It used to be like, I am Andrew, son of Emery. It was all about who you're a son of.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And it's all vanishing now.
Yeah.
But you have a legacy you can build. And I love the fact that when I was growing up, when my dad walked into a chess tournament, people were scared because his name was said, and they were fearful of his last name. And now people are fearful of the last name again because of me, and they will be again because of my son. And this is the beauty of life as a man. And one of the most terrifying but also gratifying things of life as a man is that we're all born relatively valueless. I don't think women are born that way. A woman, if she's born, especially if she's attractive, has an innate value. People just want her no matter what. But as a man, if you're not an important man, nobody gives a fuck about you, and they're never going to care. So you have to build yourself from the ground up, and that's scary for a lot of people, but it's also a massive opportunity. You can decide if you want to be a famous musician or a nice sensitive poet or a painter or a kickboxing world champion or a businessman. You get to decide on all the different characters in the video game. You can choose, who do I want to be? And then if you actually try, you can become it. Isn't that amazing? You can wake up and go, you know what? I want to be this kind of guy. I knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the dude pulling up in the Lambo, 3 a.m, gets out. Everyone's like, who is this big, strong, rich dude? I wanted to be that man, so I became him. And if you don't want that, if you want to go be a musician and play guitar and get a bunch of chicks and chill in Bali and smoke weed, whatever, go, you can choose your character and build it. You nailed it. They have no self-accountability. And you're right. A lazy person thinks he's working too hard, and a successful person thinks he isn't working hard enough. And we're doing 20 times the work they are. And we're like, oh, I could have done more. Could have done this. Oh, I missed that today. Can't miss that again. Oh, I should have taken that call. I should have flown there. I should have. That's, we have guilt about it. They don't give a solitary fuck. And even if you pointed it out to them, they'd sit there and go, oh yeah. And they'd make some excuse for it. It's the brutal arrogance of people. It's truly brutally arrogant. I encourage absolutely everybody who finishes this podcast to go to your website and learn something. You should go and educate yourselves. These people are sitting here and they're teaching you. You've watched the entire thing. You understand there's knowledge. Are you just going to turn it off and just go back to being a dummy?
That's a great call to action, isn't it?
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like, if you're not going to take any action at all after 2 hours of being educated, then you're going to just stay a loser.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the reality. But yeah, so the lessons are very, very important.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear because these last few years, people skipped all of them. Even if they have a little bit of money, they have none of the lessons and they're going to suffer. The universe will teach them a lesson.
Forget the bad things, remember the lesson. That's what I always say.
Absolutely. I am ruthless. I'm ruthless.
You wouldn't be any other way, would you?
No, but I don't have time for brokies. I don't have time for sad people. I don't have time for unlucky people. I don't have time for someone who's complaining. I don't have time for negativity. I don't have time. I'm so ruthless. If I knew a dude who always had a cold, I wouldn't talk to him anymore. You're too sick. I don't like it. Yeah. My circle is winners. Everyone around me is a winner. No matter what bad happens in our lives, we win. And it's amazing to me that people understand that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with,
100%.
but then they don't curate their circle.
No.
They'll go, yeah, I understand that part. And then they'll still hang around with a bunch of fucking losers. The problem is, it has to be a value exchange. You can't be a loser hanging around with winners because winners don't want to hang around with you. You need to find a way to provide value and work your way up. But as you progress through life, there's going to have to be people you cut off because they're just holding on to your coattails, slowing you down. And no matter how many times you give them a chance, they don't want to fucking progress. And that's their decision. That's fine. You don't have to feel guilty about that. You have lately, and life is a value exchange. Every friendship, every relationship, every business relationship, there has to be an exchange of value. If as you progress through life, if people stay in the same place, you're only giving value and you're not receiving any value back. And you have to be ruthless about those things. Like, I have a very curated circle and everybody in my circle is extremely useful and we're extremely successful. And it's a very motivating thing. If you're in a room full of ice cream experts and all they talk about is ice cream, how to move ice cream, how to sell ice cream, different flavors of ice cream, how you make ice cream, you're going to learn a lot about ice cream. If you're in a room full of people who are billionaires, and guess what they're talking about? Money. And guess what you're going to learn about? Money. I don't sit and have pointless conversations with people. I don't even know what people are talking about. If me and my friends meet, we end up talking about the earth and how it can pay us. That's what we talk about. And that's how we manage to make a bunch of money. So you have to be ruthless with your circle. And for people out there who understand this, a lot of people say they understand it, but they genuinely don't. But if you do and you are trying to progress your circle, you need to find a way to provide value. You need to either join networks like my one on corporative.com, or you need to find a way to provide value. I'll give you an example. In Romania, I was driving and I went to a town called Cluj. It's a very small town. I went in a nice car and a kid came up to me and he said, I run the car spotting page and we take pictures of the Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Can I take a picture? It's like, yeah, sure. And anyway, he took a picture of it and then he gave me his business card and he said, I just want you to know, I don't even like cars. I just knew the best way for me to meet rich people is to take photos of nice cars.
It's a great story.
I was like, you're smart.
Very smart.
I hired him.
I'm not surprised.
He works for me. Yeah. He still works for me for this day. Yeah. He was smart enough to go, well, where's the money over there? Yeah. How do I get close to the money? Oh, they don't want to talk to me. But if I take cool photos of his car, he might want to talk to me. You have to find a way to provide value to people.
Yeah.
If you provide value and it's a value exchange, you'll do good. But yeah, I say this to people and they go, oh, but my friend, and we have a good time together. Well, if you're going to prioritize your friends by drinking and having fun, then you're going to have a bunch of fucking loser friends. That's your life and that's your life to live. It's fine. Don't complain when the NHS are on strike and you can't get seen and I'm in a private hospital in fucking Saudi. That's your problem. You have to just make your decisions in life and live true to them. But creating a circle is ultra important. And it's not just important financially, it's also important for your entire life and your mindset as a whole. Because it's amazing, especially amongst men, we never want to be the poorest person in the room. We never want to be the weakest person in the room. You never want to be, so if you're with a group of killers, you have now this massive expectation. It's almost like societal pressure and a positive force. If I go to my friends, I can't be the weakling. If everyone does X amount of push-ups, I have to do them. That's it. So you can get, just like peer pressure can be a negative, peer pressure can be a massive positive and it can accelerate you towards the moon. You can get an upward spiral. So my team, it's not just about how we make money. It's also an entire mindset. I don't want to be the only scared one in the group. If me and my team, if me and my 6 closest friends are walking down the street and a couple guys came up to us with machetes, I know they wouldn't be afraid. So now I'm not afraid. Now no one's afraid. Now you're fucked. It's like a gang, right? You have to have that mentality. So it's not just even about money. It's about your entire life you create. If you're a person, if you're a man and you're out here and you go, you know what? Who do I want to be? I want to be strong and rich and brave and respected. Then I need friends who are Strong and rich and brave and respected. That's what you need to do. If you're going to say, oh, I want to be these things, but I hang around with this guy because we play FIFA together, then you can stay a fucking loser. And that is your decision. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for losers. I want to make this another thing clear that ends up on TikTok and everyone cries their eyes out. I don't give a solitary fuck if you want to stay at the bottom of the societal totem pole. If I'm going to ignore how I feel day after day so I can perform, regardless of whether I'm sad, happy, pissed off, tired, if I'm going to get up and work anyway when I'm tired, how do you expect me to feel sorry for you because you didn't work when you were tired? If I don't care about my own emotions, I certainly don't give a solitary shit about yours. If you want to stay a loser, stay one. Good, it's fine. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for you. I don't care. A lot of people don't have the ability to understand the compounding effect of doing the right thing time after time. Even if you start a new business, you don't know what to do. I guarantee if you're always on time, if you're a builder and you're always on time, take the basic shit, just be on time.
Yeah.
Over time, you may think, oh, I'm just on time, no one notices. Trust me, across 10 years, that's the difference between being a successful builder and not being a successful builder.
Well, the thing is, we expected you to be late today, but you were early. So it just shows, even when you reach that level of success, you still respect people's time, which is
just
brilliant.
stick to the absolute basics and do the right thing and know what you're supposed to do. And this is why I have so little sympathy for people who go, oh, I'm trying to make it and I can't, because I think they're lying to me and they're lying to themselves.
Early is on time is late, and late is unforgivable.
Completely agree.
Finished.
Absolutely. And it's these basic things that even in the modern world, it's amazing how people are failing. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's a very fun commentary. And I read a lot of emails. I got a lot of emails, a lot of messages, and a lot of people like, bro, I'm trying my best. And my answer is simply, no, you're not. I really don't think they're trying their best. Maybe I come across and I seem non-sympathetic, but I'm from a council estate in Luton. I'm now a billionaire. And it's because I actually tried my best.
Do they just not know what their best is? Are they in the quagmire of everyone being like them, and they think they're doing a little bit better than everyone else?
But you know what's funny? What's funny is this. If you were to take somebody who says, I'm doing my best, I'm really trying, and you were to get an exact schedule of their last week and find all the times they've wasted time, you'd say, look, you've wasted time. You know what's actually amazing? Most of those people are not even self-reflective enough to go, you're right, I'm not trying my best. You know what they'd say? Well, I have to rest sometimes. Well, I have to have a social life. Well, they'd be so arrogant because they're arrogant.
I had to do my Facebook.
Yeah. No matter, you'd even show them, here's where you fucked up. Well, I have to, oh, you're crazy. And then they go back to being a loser. That's the amazing thing about losers. You can drag them to the water, but they won't drink it. Yeah. So for money, there is a number which I think is enough. I think once you get to, let's say, 20, 25 million, you can have anything you want. Besides stupid shit like yachts, which doesn't even make you happy and they're just a headache to own. Power is the problem. You have to understand what you're really chasing. And I know for me, it'll never be enough because I know I'm chasing power. Because even during the height of Corona, which educated me how important power is, I knew I can't listen to people. It's not who I am. So if I have to buy a plane to not wear a mask, I will buy a plane. So it depends what you're truly chasing. If you're truly only after money, 20, 25 million, you'll have a very good life. You'll be happy for a very long time. You don't have to live as crazy as me. But if you're after power, then it's never enough. And then you have to sit and be very smart and self-reflective and understand where you're trying to go. And it comes to a point where it becomes detrimental to you. So even me as an individual, I'm sitting here now and analyzing and thinking, if I carry on at the trajectory I'm carrying on, they're going to put me in jail because I'm too influential and I'm too dangerous. If I say I can influence an election right now.
That's a huge worry, isn't it?
It's scary for them. They're like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And they've tried to get me to sell my soul. I'm not going to give too many stories, but on multiple occasions, they've tried to get me to sign contracts and offer me a bunch of money to shut up and agree to this and agree to that. And I won't do it. So now they're sitting there going, okay, there's this person with massive influence, perhaps the most influential man in the world. We've offered him to sell his soul so we can control him. He won't do it. He can influence things massively. He is a wild card. What do we do about this person? And they sit and they go, okay, well, accuse him of something, put him in jail. And if that doesn't work, then it's like, oops, car crash. That's the end. So I'm now at a position where I'm like, I have to very strongly gauge how far I want to go because Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Yeah.
So it gets scary, right? So you have to be very self-reflective of these things. But yeah, how much is enough? I don't know. I hope I'm going to balance it just right, and I'm going to save the world and awaken people from the matrix and stay breathing as long as possible. We'll have to see how it goes. But I will say this, because I say it on every single podcast. If they lock me up for some insane bullshit, I didn't do it. And if they say I killed myself, I didn't kill myself either. It's all a fucking lie. I'm going to say that here now.
It's doesn't matter how much money you have, life is always going to be difficult. It doesn't matter how much you try and shelter your children, how rich you are, what family they're born into. Life is going to be difficult. And if there is no struggle in their life, they're going to find struggle, or something that shouldn't be a struggle will become a struggle for them because their life has been so sheltered, and life is hard. So if you can't avoid the difficulty, you may as well get very good at it. You may as well get good at difficulty. And it's amazing when you look at someone like Prince Harry. He's just a man who has not become very good at difficulty, and he's just completely collapsed in the face of a woman who's complaining at him. And yeah, even worse than all that, the dishonor of selling out. We were talking about how I feel a duty to my bloodline and my last name, and I have to do my father proud. He's from the British royal family. And he had no honor. He couldn't even sit and say, look, listen, he had to sell out in a book. God does not smile favorably on people who make these kind of decisions. And I think that's why he's going to be unhappy for a very long time. And he's going to realize that it was never worth it. And what did he do it for? Money? You're from the royal family, my friend. You really need money that bad? It's truly shameful. And I think deceit and treachery are the most heinous and most disliked personal qualities, or something you can actually witness somebody do. I think everybody hates them. And it's because anybody can fall victim to them. Anybody can fall victim to deceit or treachery because you trust that person. Everybody trusts someone, right? So that person turns on you, you're always in trouble. So I think he thinks that he has the populace on his side. But I don't think he understands that when you out yourself as a snake, everybody intrinsically dislikes you. You understand what I'm saying? It's all absolutely and utterly done on purpose. And it's kind of amazing to me that nobody sits there and understands the best way you can rebel against a slave mind and resist the matrix is just be the kind of person who uses logic, is stoic, is emotionally controlled, is physically strong, because a strong body is a strong mind, who refuses to be told or labeled as something. You can't label me as a depressed person. You can't label me as some kind of disease or some kind of personality disorder. You can't label me a color. I'm Andrew Tate. This is who I am. I work hard for my last name. I understand what's right and wrong. I'm going to do my absolute best. And that alone in and of itself is an act of rebellion again. And he wonders why. And I also think what he probably doesn't understand, and if he's watching this, you never know, he might. Hello, Harry. If he's watching this, I don't think he even understands that even his woman views him that way. Even Meghan views you that way. Even Meghan looks at you and goes, I complained at you over William, and you were supposed to tell me to be quiet, and you didn't. So now I think you're a bitch. Now what? And you wonder why she's never happy. So now he's in big trouble. I don't know what he's going to do with his life, but he's in big trouble. But it's interesting where I don't see how. It's actually an interesting conversation to have about how psyops can work as a whole, because when I analyze, especially as a man, and I always talk from the masculine frame, not because I'm a misogynist, but because I'm a man. And I understand the masculine frame because I am a man. If you stray from the archetype of masculinity, if you stray from honor, courage, if you're not dutiful, if you don't believe in putting honor in your last name, if you don't want to be physically and mentally strong, if you don't believe in finding problems to solve, if you don't believe in having a difficult life, if you stray from this because you've been psyoped to stray from it, all you end up with is misery. And it's amazing that people will see anybody who's strayed from it end up perma-miserable and still fall for the psyop. I find it incredible that people don't think logically long enough to sit and say, okay, whose life do I actually want? I would never adopt the thinking of somebody whose life I didn't want. I don't know why people even do that. I could sit and have a conversation with Prince Harry 10 hours straight, and he could be as compendious and convincing and concise, and he could be extremely perfectly articulate with his points. And at the end of it, I'd say, yeah, but I don't want to be you. So I don't want to think like you. So get fucked. But I wouldn't want to listen to him. So I don't know why people don't even just wake up and go, okay, whose life do I want to live? What kind of person do I want to be? Who do I want to be like? That's the kind of thinking I need to adopt and install in my mind, because we're all being programmed by someone to a degree. And I don't think you can escape programming. You can just choose the programming that you are going to install inside of your mind. I'm not going to sit and say I'm not programmed. My father programmed me, my fight coach programmed me, the friends I have around me program me, my brother programs me, my social circle programs me. We're all programmed to a degree. You have to be very careful who you're going to allow give you the programming, because if you put it up to society and culture, the current culture, as a man, you're going to end up like Prince Harry. Gender roles, innately, on some level. So women have a fantastic superpower when it's properly used, but like everything on earth, if you have a superpower or any kind of power at all and it's put in the wrong direction, it can be destructive. Water, if it's going through a dam, can power a city. If it's not going through a dam, it's a flood. So we have all this emotionality put in the wrong direction, and now they're in positions of power or whatever, or they're controlling the culture, or they're controlling how households are run, and they can fall for these emotional traps, these very simple, basic emotional traps. It's for grandma. The most basic, dumb level. And I sit there and say, grandma's 98. 98-year-olds die. And I'm not saying she should die. I'm saying 98-year-olds get sick. Who said it was COVID? Prove it was COVID. She got the flu last year. Like, what? Have you lost your mind? But grandma.
Which is funny because I think the average life expectancy is 73. So if they've made it to 92,
they've done great.
They've done great.
Absolutely.
And I said that, and people thought that was so harsh and so mean.
Because there you go, harsh, mean, emotionality.
Yeah.
And emotionality is used against people, which is also why they don't like stoicism. Is why when you have a man who's hard to emotionally affect, they also see him as a threat. I've had it from a lot of people. I've had some of the hate mail I've got, and I get a lot of. I probably get about 10,000 emails a day. I'd say about 9,000 of them are support and 1,000 of them are fervent weirdos. And the weirdos are like, you're a psychopath because all this is happening to you. You don't even care. It's like, they're threatened by the fact that I'm stoic. They're threatened by the fact that I won't cry and lose my mind over it. They're like, oh, he has emotional control. He's a threat, because then they can't lie to me. They can't psyop me. And they want you to be emotionally incontinent. And this is another thing they're teaching men. They're teaching men to act out your feelings. Well, why are they doing that? Because that makes you an emotional person and you're easier to control. They don't care that damages society by extension. Because when you tell men to act out their feelings, that's why you get school shooters. That's why you get rapists. That's why you get murderers. Why does somebody murder someone? Because he's mad. He's acting out his feelings. He's not a very stoic person if he goes, I hate you, bang. Right? So they're teaching all this emotional incontinence in men, trying to pretend they care about society. It's destroying society in real time. They have no interest in actually preserving anything that's important about masculinity. And the only reason they're doing it is because that allows them to use emotional arguments. Now they can sit and say, okay, these men act out how they feel. So let's make them angry, and they might riot. And let's make them riot on this street. Let's leave some bricks on this street. And I really can't think of a quicker way to destroy your mind than go to therapy. Part of me, if I had time to waste, Candace, which I don't, because I've been on house arrest long enough, and once I'm out of here, I'm going to enjoy myself. But if I had time to waste, I would love to go to start therapy. I would love to, like, imagine me, Andrew Tate. I'm going to go to a therapist, and she's not going to know who I am, and I'm going to sit there, I'm going to do therapy, and I'm going to do a video. I might actually do this. It's actually a great idea. I might do a video after each therapy about what bullshit it was. And just sitting there talking about, okay, when you were 8, yeah, what happened when you were 8? Because in your childhood, not everything's because of my childhood. Not everything works that way. Like, it's so asinine. I've actually had conversations with therapists, I think twice in my life. I did a TV show in England, and I had to speak to a therapist. And then I think it was another TV show, 2 TV shows, I had to speak to these therapists. And I sat there and said, I don't believe in your science, because in math, 1 + 1 is 2, and we understand that. Whereas with what you teach, you can have a guy who doesn't drink alcohol because his dad was an alcoholic, and a guy who is an alcoholic because his dad was an alcoholic. So how can you have the same scenario and 2 completely different outcomes? She goes, oh yeah, but there's general rules we can follow. I said, then let's end the conversation. I'm not a general person. I'm exceptional. So can we just stop wasting everybody's time here? Because all your general rules don't apply to me. I'm smarter than you. What have you achieved? Goodbye. I'm a world champion. See ya. Like, it's garbage. And I really do believe, I think there is this mass drive to instill the idea of absolute selfishness in people. I think they're trying to, when I really analyze the ideal citizen they want, the ideal citizen is, yes, docile, and yes, he's eunuch, but he's also ultimately selfish. Because then you don't care about community. And I think therapy is a fantastic way to make you selfish.
He's miserable.
There's no way a man can be happy in that scenario, because I think masculine happiness comes from strength and to a degree excellence, and also comes from respect. Men want to be respected, and he doesn't respect himself, his family doesn't respect him, and his woman doesn't respect him. I know how unhappy he is, I know how unhappy she is by extension. It's just an unhappy, miserable house. He gave up everything and gained absolutely and utterly nothing. This whole therapy thing, the reason I believe they push therapy so heavily is because it goes into something I said a little bit earlier about selfishness. If you convince somebody that they have to spend hours and hours per week sitting in a chair talking about that feeling they had last Thursday in the kitchen.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Crazy.
You want to talk about creating mental illness? There it is. This exasperates problems. This makes it worse. And it also builds this culture of absolute and utter selfishness. Excuse me, they're trying to put you in jail for the rest of your life effectively because they're going to enslave you and they're going to control all the money and they're going to make you get injections you don't need. Yeah, but you know, I'm sad. I got therapy. I'll talk about it later. That's all they want. They just want you to be so obsessed with how you feel in your own mind that you can't even look outside of yourself and care about anything. It's part of the propaganda machine. It's part of the mechanism to turn us all into docile farm animals. I said this to somebody the other day. They were talking about how they feel, and I said, who cares how you feel? And he goes, well, what do you mean? Well, I don't care. You're telling me I know you and I don't care. So all the people who don't know you don't care. The woman you want doesn't care. You can't go up to a chick in a bar and say, you know what, usually I'm really charming. Today I'm a bit sad. Can you give me a pass? Can you let me off? She'll be like, go away, weirdo. The chick you want doesn't care. The job you're supposed to perform at doesn't care. If the man who wants to mug you decides to pull a machete, he doesn't care. You can't say, bro, I'm not in the mood for a fight today. Tomorrow, please. Nobody cares. So why do you care? All the people out here in the world don't care, but you're going to sit there and you're going to care. You're going to be the only person in the world who cares. You're going to walk around telling everybody, trying to find somebody who gives a shit. Good luck. Because what's going to happen is you're going to walk around feeling sorry for yourself, trying to find somebody who cares. You might find somebody who pretends to care long enough for you to get a little bit of dopamine. But all in all, you're wasting time in a hyper-competitive world where people like me who perform regardless of how they feel are just going to perpetually bury you. And then you're going to sit there and wake up and go, why am I a loser? Well, because when Andrew was sad, he continued to perform. When Andrew was in jail, his business didn't fall apart. He was doing push-ups every day. His body didn't fall apart. Nothing about his life degraded when he was in a jail cell surrounded by cockroaches. You're in a plushy bed at home, crying about what? And you expect the male world's hyper-competitive. So you're not allowed almost as a man to put that much importance on how you feel. You don't have time to care about it because you have too much to do. This is what I find so remarkable. If I feel sad, I don't think, how do I stop myself? I need to not feel sad. I just go to work. I got stuff to do. I'm a man. I have things to do every single day. This whole therapy garbage, I can't think of a way faster to ruin your mindset and destroy your ability to resist the perils of life than go into therapy. It's the thing. I think Margaret Thatcher said the best upbringing you can have is good parents and no money. Because you look at Prince Harry you can't talk about anything better for a perfect upbringing. Royal family, come on. It's not his fault, right? Royal family, fine. But he was supposed to have gone to the army. He went to Afghanistan and supposedly he fought, but obviously he didn't. He's the prince.
Played Xbox.
Of course, he just sat in the back. But if you don't give a man struggle, look what he becomes. Tell me the kind of man, if I were to say to you, imagine a man who's never struggled in his life. Physically, mentally, everything's gone perfect for him. He's born in the royal family, everything's been perfect for him his whole life. Is that the kind of man anybody respects? Is that the kind of man anyone wants to be? And struggle is subjective, right? So Prince Harry dealing with his current problems of his wife nagging, to him, that's full mental breakdown, right? My problems are obviously much larger, but struggle is subjective. To us, they're almost on the same level. But if you were to compare them side by side, they're absolutely nothing. So as a man, you have to build resilience, and you build resilience through going through something and building a tolerance to it. And this guy's had such a privileged life that he's ended up a miserable, depressed, unhappy person. So this is what's actually very interesting. When men come to me or young boys come to me and talk about something bad that happened to them, I said, good. Absolutely and utterly good. You should be glad that thing happened to you because that's the reason you're going to be the man who can resist the perils of life in the future. If bad things don't happen to you, you're going to end up like Prince Harry. You do want to end up like that dude, do you?
No one does.
Yeah, exactly. So your life's going to be so easy. You're going to get to the end result and your wife's just going to wreck you. So you need to have all these bad things happen to you so you build the mental resilience. And that's another thing about masculinity and males as a whole. We're trying to take that all away from them in almost every regard. And it's kind of like, there used to be like rites of passage where a boy would become a man. That's all gone. There used to be this masculine, very healthy peer pressure to be big and strong, and that's all gone. There used to be, I don't want to use the wrong words, I don't want to get attacked for it, but men used to not pick on each other, not bully each other, but hey, you can't do push-ups, you're weak. We'd push each other in that way, shame each other to excellence almost. We still do it to this day in this house. Tristan's bigger than me, he's 10 kilo bigger than me, 6'4", I'm 6'3", I'm smaller. He'll bench 160, 170 kilo. I can only bench like 150 kilo. He'll call me a bitch for 3 hours. Like, that's just how we are, so I have to get up and try again. That's how men are. Do you want to be Prince Harry? It's a big question.
And the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is no. It's interesting what you said earlier about putting things back to biology, because a lot of human nature is certainly animalistically biological. And even if we look at Harry and Meghan and how they interact in their home, I obviously don't know. But I can almost guess to the T the arguments they're having. I can imagine him saying, I gave up my family for you, this is what you wanted, I gave you what you wanted, why aren't you happy? I gave you everything you liked. And he's trying to use a logical or an emotional, well, he's trying to use an emotional argument, but it ain't gonna work because she doesn't respect him. But he's trying to use a logical argument with her, trying to understand why she treats him so badly after he completely and utterly complied. But humans are biological, and she, as a woman, wanted him to be a man. She wanted him to have some degree of parameter and barrier. And if you don't put up any parameter or barrier as a man, what a woman's gonna do is she's gonna push you and push you and push you and push you. She's gonna see how far she can push you. That's the reality of it. We can talk about any relationship. whether it's Harry and Meghan or any other relationship, if you're a full-grown man and you don't set parameters or set barriers, the woman's going to push you and push you and push you until she eventually finds one. And we can look at that in a romantic relationship, but also people in general. If you're going to give to a taker, they're going to take and take and take and take until you eventually say no. That's how humans work. So she was waiting for him on a biological level to stand up and be a man and say, listen, you've joined the royal family. You're right. You had to bow to the Queen of England. Correct. Because it's the royal family. Get over it. That's all he had to do. He could have saved himself all this mess. He could have saved himself all the running away and looking like a fool and upcoming divorce and all this garbage if he would have just put his foot down. He never did. And she was trying to inspire in him the warrior. I think a woman sometimes tests a man to say, okay, how much will he put up with? Because they want to see, are you a man or not? What if a man's giving you shit? What will you do? They want to see if you're about it. And she was just testing him, and he failed every time. And that's why he's tried to perma-please her. And now he's in a situation where he's asking her why she's unhappy when he's given her everything she wants. And she's unhappy because you gave her everything she wants because you're a punk.
The world has become exceptionally easy for a lot of men. It used to be a different place. Most men were cannon fodder. Most of us would have ended up in wars dying for fucking no reason.
Damn.
Now we don't have to do that. So because we don't have to do that, men think it's okay to just become comfortable now. You're not supposed to be comfortable. You were never evolved to be comfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Right.
And if you make yourself uncomfortable constructively, it's very easy to be anything you want. You talk about GTA, Grand Theft Auto. I know the game. I used to play the old one on the PlayStation 1 when I was a child.
Which one?
I haven't played any.
Which one? You talk about San Andreas?
Very first one.
Vice City, GTA 3? Yeah.
Oh, the very, 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 very first one, like 1994.
Okay.
But I've never played any of those games, but I find it amazing that people will sit there and spend all their time upgrading that character, making as much money as they can, getting the best guns, getting strong, getting some hoes, meeting important people, getting the best car. They'll do all that in a game, but they won't do it in real life. I find that incredible. Like my life is GTA. I don't need to play a game for GTA. If I want a gun, I'll fucking buy it. If I want a car, I'll fucking buy it. I want a bitch, I'll get her. It's me. I am GTA. I don't see why people play the games. They play the games because they're scared of loss. Because if you die in the game, you get another chance. If you lose in the game, you get another chance. In life, you get one shot.
Damn,
But if you get some balls, that's what life is as a game. That's what life is as a man. This is one big video game. You get to upgrade your character. You're not born with any value. All these women that you just put me on with are born with value. They're pretty already. They're gorgeous already. They're good looking enough. Even if they're a 5, someone's going to give a shit they exist because someone wants to fuck them. As a man, if you don't make yourself valuable, you have no value. You have to get up and do it. Just like a video game, you start with fucking 0. You have to decide if you want to complete it. You have to upgrade your character. So I find it amazing that men are going to play video games and fuck about and waste their time instead of upgrading their character. Everyone knows what to do. You know what you have to do.
You're right.
If you had to become the most dangerous, intelligent, respectable man on the planet, you know you're supposed to go to the gym. You know you're supposed to train, learn how to fight. You know all these things. You don't do them. That's your decision. It's your prerogative. I didn't make that choice. I made the choice to do it all. I decided all of it. And every single man watching this can do the exact same thing. Which is why I have very little pity when I do these streams and people think I'm arrogant or I'm rude to people, or even to you earlier when I was making jokes and I've been joking with the girls,
You're
saying
good,
drink the soy latte.
I'm not, yeah.
Of course, and I know we're only joking, right? But the point is that's a conscious decision you made. I would never make fun of someone who hasn't got a choice. I wouldn't make fun of someone born with one
I
arm.
have a choice though.
But if you've made a fucking decision to be less than you should be, then I believe you should be mocked for that decision.